Hello, everybody. My name is Brett Tate, and I'm going to do a quick recap for you over my first paper, which was, is there a correlation between income and life expectancy? The information that I discovered from that was income has a positive correlation to life expectancy, meaning the more money that you make, the higher your life expectancy will be. The difference between the top 1% and the bottom 1% for women alone was 10 years, and for men, 15 years. However, the correlation was because of factors due to health behaviors that low-income people were more likely to partake in, smoking being the most influential one. Furthermore, I found out that within the low-income bracket, people in areas of higher smoking rates and lower rates of education ended up having a lower life expectancy. Now, out of the states, Indiana, Oklahoma, and Nevada, they had the lowest life expectancies for poorer people. And well, me being from the great state of Indiana, this is why I chose to do my second paper covering smoking and the effects it has to Indiana residents. Now, over 30% of cancer-related deaths in Indiana are correlated to smoking alone. Indiana is ranked within the top 5 states with the highest rate of smoking, and smoking being the biggest contributor to a shortened lifespan. I wanted to understand the statistics behind that, and my proposal for the Hoosiers, the governor, and the state legislators of Indiana is simple. Increase the tax for tobacco and nicotine products to discourage smoking, encourage quitting, and to lower the smoking rate overall. Now, these taxes would include all vaping products as well. My first point of my paper is that smoking simply has a horrible health effect. It affects nearly every organ in your body, causes heart disease, cancer, lung disease, diabetes, etc. My second point being that smoking doesn't just affect the smoker. Children who are around smokers are more likely to pick up the habit. Also, secondhand smoke is classified as a Class A carcinogen. And in the great state of Indiana, it is still not illegal to smoke indoors in some places. This brings me back to my grandparents. They used to chain smoke around me when I was a young teen, even when we would go out to restaurants. So it really made me get used to the smell. And eventually, it made me find out where they kept their extra packs of cigarettes. It was the sole reason that I went in and got a pack, picked up my first cigarette, and smoked it. And I was probably 9 years old at the time. Even secondhand smoke, if it wasn't a thing, children are still affected by it. Being around the behaviors that a smoker puts off, they are more likely to pick it up. I found research that said every year, every year, 2,000 children under the age of 18 become daily smokers within Indiana. All right, my third point is vaping is just as addictive and difficult to quit as cigarettes are, which also affects the children. There is an increasing research to support that vaping is equally as concerning for lung and heart health. It is also posing a big risk for our youth. Just in 2018 alone, it was discovered that nearly 19% of high school students in Indiana used a vaping device. One of the most popular vaping devices amongst the teens was pressured by the FDA to stop production because it was producing flavored vape pods. The FDA since has put a ban on kid-friendly flavored vape juices to try to curb the appeal to teens and children. This reminds me of early 2000 when I was 12 years old and Camel released a mandarin mint flavored cigarette. We would always get our hands on it. It wasn't hard to find. And shortly after, they discontinued it, and we always wondered why. Come to find out, it was because they did research and they found out it was falling into a lot of hands of the youth. My fourth point on my paper is that smoking has a huge expense to the government. There was nearly $600 million in Medicare costs related to smoking. There is a large government expenditure on smoking-related hazards, such as fires that occur from it. And the costs such as productivity loss and damage to those properties is on the rise. So think of your average person that's working and their smoke breaks that they take. My fifth point is that evidence that increased taxes on nicotine products do lower the consumption of them. A study on this topic found that a 10% increase, so a few dollars per pack of cigarettes, is able to decrease smoking in teens prior to 18 years by up to 15%, and adults who smoke up to 7%. So when we're talking about millions of people, those percentages really add up. For youth smokers, it was 58,100. It prevented 58,100 youth smokers from becoming adult smokers, and 70,100 adult smokers forced them to quit, and also prevented 36,300 deaths from smoking, to be exact. Just that 10% increase. So again, a few dollars per pack of cigarettes. Arguments that I foresee against my proposal. Adults should be able to make their own choices regarding their health. Well, they still are able to make their own choice to smoke or not. Increasing the tax does not take that freedom away from people. 2, charging more for cigarettes will lead to a loss of money for the government. Well, the decrease in government expenditures due to smoking-related illness and hazards may offset that. Furthermore, the increase in tax revenue may offset sales. Number 3, since poor people are more likely to smoke, this is just a tax on the poor. Well, tobacco-related illness and health costs associated with that are higher than a tax on tobacco. If you quit or lower your consumption due to its cost, you will also be cutting on healthcare costs. Number 4, making cigarettes cost more will make people turn to worse addictions and substance abuse. There's absolutely no evidence to support that, and currently in the state of Indiana, deaths related to smoking are 10 times more likely to happen than drug-related deaths. So, this leads me to my conclusion. Smoking affects everyone. It affects those who smoke, those who are exposed to secondhand smoke, children who are influenced by smokers, and taxpayers as a whole. Finally, this is something that is leading to the shortening of people's lives. So, to increase the tax on tobacco products will lower the consumption and be very beneficial to everybody in the great state of Indiana. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Have a great night.